Balenciaga has very dark kind of things going on. And in 2016, one of the people that recruited all of the models for Balenciaga's runway show was a woman called Rachel Chandler, who has been on Jeffrey Epstein's island. She's even posted a picture on Instagram of CCTV footage back in 2013, bragging about being on an island. And if you look at her modeling agency, every single one of the models looks like a trafficking victim. You can see they've got very dark under the eyes. So people need to research that. But I think Balenciaga has very dark.
Yes. He said people need to research that. And so I heard him say that, and I thought, oh, I better research this Balenciaga thing. So we've been looking into it, and people are, wow, it's a big story. And they haven't been able to censor it yet or say it's a conspiracy theory because Balenciaga admits it. They admit they screwed up. So I wanted to try to cover the facts because there are some things to fact check out of what's come out recently. So I want to make sure I talk about the latest characters and how they're tied up in things, including Rachel Chandler and this Lotta person. And we'll identify who the photographer was, and we'll talk about some of the art that was in the books. So, and we'll try to make sure we are being totally reasonable about our analysis of this whole thing. So I know people in the fashion industry. Well, my wife is a fashion designer. I know people in Hollywood who do photography shoots of fashion stuff for major brands. I know people who are in movies. And one thing I'll tell you up front is they say that kids are totally safe right now when it comes to these shoots and movies and stuff, because everybody's totally paranoid that they're going to end up being at the end of somebody's conspiracy theory or what have you. So because people are worried about ending up like Balenciaga just ended up, they try to go out of their way these days, from what I understand from my contacts in the different industries. They try to go out of their way to make sure kids are okay and that they aren't abused on set and that sort of thing. However, there is the modeling business, which is its own kind of thing. So we want to talk about what's real and what isn't, but should say that is, according to people in the industry, kids are not like being abused on sets. In fact, they go overboard to try to make sure that they're okay. Okay. Now, what are these people into? What are these people into? I think that's what people want to know. And is that cool? And are kids going to be safe? So what happened so far is they released those images, Balenciaga did, for their gift catalog, which was the kids with the bears, and then for their spring 23 campaign, which was the adults with the document, with the Supreme Court document, which had to do with CP. So they had to come out and apologize for the bears, which they have no excuse for. Okay, so there were BDSM teddy bears. They've canceled the BDSM teddy bears, and they've decided that they're inappropriate, even though the BDSM teddy bears were around for a long time, even before this latest ad campaign. They happen to have, for some reason, and I suggest this because that's the kind of stuff they're into. Okay, so I am going to suggest to you they are into BDSM type stuff and some other kinky type stuff. And this guy, who people aren't talking about that much, the creative director of Balenciaga, was real good friends with Kanye West, who there's all kinds of stories about how much he is into pornography and showing pornography to his employees and so forth. So, are they into that kind of thing? Well, I think we'll find out by the end of this. Some of the people are into that kind of thing. So that's not a conspiracy theory, I don't think. So let me go over. And so they apologized, and they said that the document, this is the part where it gets weird. They said the document that was showing that had to do with CP in the Supreme Court case was there by accident. and that it was supposed to be a prop that didn't have anything on it. They think it might have come from a TV drama, they say. So that's where the story gets a little unbelievable. And then we'll talk about also the books that were in the photograph and the artists that were featured there. We'll talk about what kinds of things these people are inspired by. So thanks, William Joseph, for the super chat, who says, I think Trump set up the three amigos. Yes, we'll address that on another show. Let me talk about first, let's talk about this one tweet that you guys probably saw about this woman, Lada Volkova. Okay. So she was identified this way. And I told you we're going to fact check. So this is a tweet from Curious Light. There were other tweets like this that came out. A thread on who is really behind the Balenciaga ads. The devil in disguise, Lada Volkova. It says, she has been one of the main stylists in Balenciaga since 2014. She has a relationship with an accused pedophile. It says, I haven't been able to confirm that. We can't only boycott Balenciaga, but also the people behind it. And it shows this image here of a model, it appears, in red with babies that you could say are covered in blood, but they look like they're just red babies, dolls, red baby dolls, bright blood red baby dolls. So a few different people tweeted out this image of Lada Volkova, who is a big deal in fashion. And I'll show you some of the images from her Instagram feed, which people have shown. People said, this is her with the dolls. So I'm going to do a fact check immediately on that and say, contrary to what you've seen, that's not actually her with the dolls. So that picture, according to Snopes and other fact checking sources, and I'm not saying Snopes is reliable. I'm just saying I followed their links and it looks like they're telling the truth, is that this is not actually Lada Volkova. This is some model at some fashion show for some Chinese designer. But it still is a picture of a model in a fashion show with a couple of babies that look like they could be covered in blood, right? Which is weird to some people. I know some people will be saying this stuff is totally normal, but that is something that happened at a fashion show, but it isn't Lada Volkova. Okay, but what about Lada Volkova? What did people find out about her? She was called the it girl in terms of being influential and doing lots of different advertising campaigns for places, including Balenciaga. She had a public Instagram, which now you can't go to, which she's made private since because of what people are saying. She has made a statement, so I'll give you that. These are some of the images that people found on her Instagram. So here you go. There's an image of, I don't know, Satan type character with his legs spread, with a woman in front of him on a pentagram with a circle, and it says the devil. Okay. Obviously, it is a satanic image that was on her Instagram under Lada Volkova. There's this image of a child holding up a skull. All right. There's this image of a dead teenager. It could be. It does not appear to be a photograph. Could be a painting with their insides coming out. A picture of death. And here is another picture from her Instagram, which appears to be a genuine crime scene photo of a bedroom with blood everywhere and a record player. But it appears to be an actual crime scene photo from the 70s, according to people who looked at the picture. And her comment was hashtag that kind of morning. All right. So sometimes people who are creatives are inspired or into death. So you could say it looks like she might be into death and morbid things. So there's a scene with blood all over the room. There are the other images. I'll show you what else. There's images of young people in bondage. I'll show you that. And this person is a big deal, Lada Volkova. And she has made a statement. So I think that's important. And I'll tell you, did she have anything to do with this fashion show? I'll tell you that. So here's somebody else who posted some of the images from Instagram. This is another one of the images. Okay, of a child, it appears, maybe 13 or so, taped up to a chair with some kind of blindfold on. And that picture, this whole thing does remind people of Pizzagate, people who were around for that thing. A word you couldn't even say on YouTube for a long time. And I'll show you what picture it is reminiscent of from the Pizzagate era. And then I'm going to go further into stuff from that story and the extended version of this stream. But you saw the picture of the girl in the chair with the taped restraint. So this is just another picture. This is from this was from James Alefantis's Instagram of someone who was taped to a ping pong table. And people thought it was strange at the time. So same kind of imagery. And then there was more from her. Let's see. I can show you more of the different kind of imagery that's on her Instagram, which people have posted. Then you can decide what you think. This is from her Instagram. This is a weird picture. It appears to be a adult face photoshopped onto a child's body, as far as I can tell. And this one has a comment from Mark Jacobs. It's just to show this person, Lada Volkova, is connected. She's like a big deal, okay, from what people were saying about her. So she was referred to by Vogue magazine. This person, Lada Volkova, was called the future of the fashion show super stylist, Lada Volkova, who has been called the coolest stylist in the industry. All right. So, and she posted that stuff, including the satanic stuff, to her Instagram account. Now, what does she have to do with Balenciaga, if anything? Well, that's why we wanted to make a fact check. She has made a statement through some kind of publicist saying that she is not cool with child abuse. So, and that she had nothing to do with this particular advertising campaign. So Lada Volkova, famous on Twitter now, lots of people talking about her. Because everybody's talking about her, she actually made a statement that, let's see, this is her. This is Lada Volkova. She made a statement through her spokesperson that she condemns the abuse of children in any form. And it says, quote, Lada Volkova has not worked with Balenciaga or its team since 2018, and she has in no way participated in the brand's recent Instagram or advertising campaigns. Okay. So, Lada Volkova is not the person with the babies, is this person, did post that stuff to Instagram, didn't have anything to do, hasn't anything to do with Balenciaga since 2018, as far as she says. And also, she condemns child abuse. Okay. So now you know. Some people are saying she was the stylist. She was not the stylist for that photo shoot. Now we want to talk about Rachel Chandler. That's what I opened with. So Rachel Chandler is in the fashion industry. So this is the tweet you might have seen about that from Oli London. I'll show you. Rachel Chandler did fly on Epstein's plane, did go to Epstein's Island, posted pictures from there. Here, and here's where you can see from Rachel Chandler that she posted images from the security cameras at Epstein Island, I believe. So, and then people are saying she provides a lot of models for Balenciaga. Apparently, she did provide some models for Balenciaga for some fashion show. And this is what some of the models look like. So this is one of her new models. Okay, and you see the look. The look is like a street kid, like somebody who's down on their luck and maybe on drugs. So people are saying, oh, it has the look of someone who's being trafficked. Right. And then here's another picture of someone else that got hired for Midland Agency. That's Rachel Chandler's agency. So there's the kind of look. All right. And I think, to be charitable, and I'll show you her current website. And modeling is a very sketchy business. They bring girls in when they're pretty young. Sometimes they bring them in from overseas. Sometimes they have to work and then pay their expenses and they don't really get any money. Sometimes models are paid to go to parties. And then what are they paid to do at those parties? So you have Jeffrey Epstein had a modeling agency, right? So, and Jean-Luc Brunel was involved in modeling agencies with Jeffrey Epstein. And Jean-Luc Brunel was, basically trafficked girls through his modeling agency. So that's somebody who was connected to Epstein, who you can basically confirm, who was accused by multiple people of, rape and also trafficking models that worked for him, supposedly, or for his agency. So that does happen in modeling historically. Some of these girls are pimped out, but I'm not saying this is her current website, just so you guys know. We're doing a fact check. Rachel Chandler was on Epstein's plane. I showed you some of her models. They have the look, right? But let's say some artists are into the look. Remember when it was cool for models to look like they had hangovers or they were on heroin, because that's the look they thought was cool. And then it turned out that some of the models were really on heroin. So nobody's surprised. So they like the look maybe of young people that look like they're down on their luck or strung out. But this is a look at currently Midland Agency, which is Rachel Chandler's modeling agency, and some of the models. Okay. People are saying that her models have, just like that first clip I showed, but they don't all have the look of being trafficked. They don't all look that way. And some people say they all do. They don't all look that way. But modeling is a sketchy business. I can confirm that. Modeling is a sketchy business. So that's Rachel Chandler and her connection, right? Connection to Epstein, connection to Balenciaga, and that she hired some artists, some models for a fashion show at some point for Balenciaga. Rachel Chandler had nothing to do with this particular photo shoot. Who did do this photo shoot was identified. So they're suing this company, North Six, this guy, Desjardins. But the photographer that was originally implicated in the whole thing, who took the pictures of the kids with the bears, identified the photographer of the Balenciaga campaign, the photographer who took the picture that would have had the document that mentioned that was from a case involving CP. So this guy, Gabriele Galimberti, was the photographer who took the pictures of the kids with the bears. He said that he had nothing to do with posing the kids with those bears, that he's not into hurting kids, and the rest of his pictures don't indicate that he is. We went through his pictures. So the other pictures, there's nothing, there's kids with their toys. That's what he was known for taking pictures of. He has other pictures of Americans with all their guns, which is an interesting photo series. So, but he said that the photographer who took the pictures was called Chris Maggio. That's what it says. The photos have been attributed to American photographer Chris Maggio. So Chris Maggio, we just did some quick research into Chris Maggio. He hasn't posted satanic images, as far as we know. So here is a photo shoot, though, from Chris Maggio, just so you can see it. Chris Maggio was the one identified as having set up the scene that involved the court document that had to do with CP. This is one photo shoot. The only thing I'll notice about this is for this photo shoot, which says family passport photos for SS, styled by Lada Volkova. So check that out. So it's true that the photographer, it looks like, the photographer who was identified as the one responsible now by another photographer, Chris Maggio, did these photos with styling by Lada Volkova, who did post satanic images and images of dead people and stuff. So these are the images from that photo shoot. It's some kind of passport photo shoot thing. You can see some kind of recurring themes, like there's teddy bear in this picture, and we had teddy bears. This other picture, this Lada Volkova also had other pictures of teddy bears in bondage. So there you go. That's that image, and I'll show you there's what can you say? There's nothing implicitly wrong with any of those photos or anything. So we still don't know what they were thinking when they placed that page that was a document from a case involving CP. We don't know what they were thinking. The page had on it some words. It had words like sexual and stuff and intercourse on the page that was showing. They might have put it in there for some kind of subliminal messaging. They did, if you want to fact check it, they did have books that were visible in the background, which involved this artist, Michael Boromans. And I made a video about that, which people are still watching, which showed the kind of art that he's known for. And since I made that video and some other people mentioned him, they've written an article about him. So let me show you. They identified the book in this Newsweek article. They identified the book that was in the picture by Michael Boromans, who is apparently a well-known kind of respected artist who did one book in particular that has what a lot of people think are disturbing images, and I'll explain how those images are described. So, but the book that was actually in the picture was identified as Sweet as It Gets. So I'll show you images from that book. And so these are props that were placed in the picture, and you would think they'd be the kinds of things that inspire these photographers, these artists, the designers, maybe, right? So maybe they'd put the artwork of somebody whose artwork inspires them. So this is what it was in that book, As Sweet as It Gets, some of the images. So you can see this image here, like this person with the face covering. Now, the creative director at Balenciaga, Demna Gvasalia, is into face coverings, and he's friends with Kanye West, and Kanye West is into face coverings. I'll show you a picture of Kim Kardashian in a full-on GIMP outfit, but she showed up at the Met Ball, Kim Kardashian, with her face totally covered, which is reminiscent of this picture here on the right of a person with some kind of black face, it looks like. Then the picture on the left, you see a girl with her hands behind her back, which is a subservient kind of position, right? And then these are other images, which looks like images maybe of death here. So those are images that are from the book that was actually on the desk. And then Fire from the Sun was a different, which was another book by Michael Bormans, another art presentation by Michael Bormans, which involved images of toddlers. And let me describe how those are described here. Okay. Don't even have to show you the images. I can just tell you how the images are described. And then we'll get another flashback to Pizzagate. Fire from the Sun paintings. Borman's work has been widely displayed, including a solo showing in Hong Kong of his Fire from the Sun series of paintings, which showed blood-covered toddlers playing in fire and what appeared to be human limbs. A website said that the perceived meaning of the works is difficult to voice or uncomfortable to admit. The review went on, quote, in the most evident terms, Fire from the Sun portrays children aged 2 to 3 in various stages of play with fire and what appear to be human limbs, even hair. The children are all light-skinned Sistine-style cherubs, sometimes covered in blood. The children do not appear to be distressed or disturbed, though some viewers at the gallery may be. And the review went on to say, quote, while the fire and probable cannibalism imply some sort of ritual, the works are most chilling as sketches of random violence, causal and instinctual. The depicted characters break with one typecast angelic while fitting another demonic. All right. So those are the pictures. Those are some of the pictures by one of the artists whose book was definitely in the photograph, and which you can almost certainly say was not by mistake. All right. So here's the things that the things that are not by mistake were the bondage teddy bears, which they designed and sold in their gift shop, and then made the wrong decision to photograph them with children. And then there was this document, which they're claiming accidentally came from a TV set or something. And so that then there were the books, which had this Michael Bormans book, then this other book, The Cremaster Cycle, which features a number of other occult type images. So, yeah, those are the facts as far as that goes. And then let me show you this. in terms of these artists being an inspiration for the creative director at Balenciaga, there's this guy, Demna Gvasalia, who is the one who's hooked up with Kim Kardashian, is friends with Kanye West. So is he inspired by Michael Boromans for his stuff? Because there's the Michael Boromans book, right? So let me show you some other images from this Michael Boromans, as sweet as it gets. These are some other photos. See these hooded children here with human limbs over here? And there are other hooded figures, right? Like this. This is a Michael Boromans image. Well, check out Kim Kardashian in an outfit designed by Demna, who's the creative director, again, at Balenciaga. There's Kim Kardashian. That's Kim Kardashian in a full leather gimp outfit designed by Demna Gvasalia, who's the creative director at Balenciaga. So it looks just like those pictures from Michael Boromans. So that's not probably by accident. So I think that's like a full update, as much as I can find on it. Conclusion, Balenciaga screwed up in ways that all they can do is say, we screwed up and we've had bad judgment, in ways they can't pass off on other people. And they're probably into some BDSM stuff. But we hope that they're not into messing with kids. And, that's what people are concerned about. So I will continue this. If you want to support the show, all of my videos are demonetized. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil and leave me a coffee and a note, and I'll read it on the next show. So, yeah, well, I'll read it on this show, as a matter of fact. What I'm going to do, because I'm going to talk about Pizzagate, and YouTube used to censor over that, we'll have to go to platforms that don't have that kind of censorship and leave this here on YouTube the way it is. And if you want to hear the full version, you can go to rockfin.com/lifttheveil, ROKFIN.com/lifttheveil, or find the podcast, which will have the full show by looking for Lift the Veil anywhere there are podcasts, or going to where I release the podcast on Substack at lifttheveil.substack.com. Appreciate your support at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And stay tuned on those other platforms. I'm going to talk about Pizzagate now. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. See you at the next one. Okay.